All righty. Now, Karen, would you like to go first? Would you like me to go first? You are having a biggie. So welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about book clubs, how we run them, what's working, what's not working, etc. And Karen from Griffith is going to kick us off. Do you need me to share screen? No.
No, not unless you wanted to show these resources which are on our website. But no, didn't have an online presentation. Hi everyone, I'm Karen. I'm from Griffith City Library. So we have a book club program that we call Bookends. And we currently have 16 book clubs. We've been running it for 8 years now, I think. And it just continues to grow, which is really good. It's really hard though. We used to have an on-demand service where people would ring up and say, hey, we're coming to collect our tub, can you have it ready tomorrow? You know, it's just so hard to manage staff-wise. Is there a question? No. So what we've tried to do in recent times is just really try and anticipate when we're going to encounter either staff problems or service problems, and be really clear about what our expectations are on them, because we've found lots of clubs would come and collect their tubs.
Can I just ask?
Yes, of course.
Can I just ask one question? Do you mind using chat? And could you mute while Karen's speaking, please? Thanks. Someone's just got a really noisy microphone. Sorry.
So we've just tried to be really clear about articulating how the program runs. We run for 10 months from February through to November for a subscription of $420 per club. And that entitles them to a tub of 12 books with reading notes and questions and everything per month. So we've put together our program details. We're very specific about not collecting incomplete sets because that was a problem at the start of the program where, oh, here I'm going to drop off 10 books and this person's going to return that one to you and whatever. It was just too much staff time. It's not, the onus is not on us to follow up on your book club and your members to collect those titles. So we're very specific. If you walk in, we're really sorry you've only got 11 books, we're going to turn you away. You're going to have to take that tub back. Which was difficult to manage, but without being upfront. So we're upfront from the very start, and it's all labelled on top of the tubs now. Incomplete, lost or damaged sets will not be accepted, and you will be liable to pay the cost of replacement before we issue you another tub. Sorry.
Go to settings and mute everybody.
It is really hard, and it's hard to bring it in, and
you're pretty tough, but not tough enough.
I mean, when we first introduced it, we weren't tough enough. Like we didn't have photos, but we just don't have the to be efficient and effective, because then you can't let those tubs onto the other library like clubs that are doing the right thing.
Yeah, sure.
Book clubs have to be registered with the library. We request that they fill out a registration form every new year. They have to have nominated a primary contact for the book club, and we do require the email addresses of all book club members. We did find that if we had just one primary contact, that we were sharing the information with them, it wasn't then getting on to the other members. If we were having an event or we wanted some feedback on books that they were interested in reading. So we find now if we collect all the emails and we only use them for the purposes of communicating about book clubs, we don't try and market or anything like that. So they probably get 4 emails a year from me. Welcome to book club. We're going to have this Christmas party. We're seeking some feedback. That's the only time that they'll hear from us. We also found too, it's really hard for us with time and resources. People came in with the expectation that they'd be able to request specific titles or say, oh, the next book I want is this. I've only got one set of each title. If it hasn't been returned by another club, I can't guarantee that you'll get that. So it's kind of please share with us your preferences. So we put together an entire reading list of all the book club sets that we've got, and we've got a list, and they tick their preferences. And so we'll mark that. We've got a spreadsheet of titles that they've indicated they really like to read. And this year so far it's been 100%. We've been able to get clubs a title that they've indicated a preference they want to read. It might not be in the order, like we would like this one first or whatever, but we try really hard. We want them to be happy with the service, and we want them to keep coming back. So yeah, that's worked really well, but it's been a bit of work to get, it's been a developing program to get to this point and try and get it acting a bit more smoothly. We used to say, like I said, it was on demand, ring up, tell us, we'll have the tub ready. And that was mixed results depending on who took the phone call. Then we said, okay, well, you can pick it up 2 months before the start, 2 weeks before the start of each month, which people were really confused about. We're like, the 15th. So that's just the first. From the first of each month, your tubs will be issued, available, ready for you to collect, and you cannot have any more than 2 tubs on loan at a time. Yeah, which is, we've got to be a bit more flexible because we've got Lake Jellicoe and clubs that are further away, or they might meet less often, maybe once every 6 weeks or every 8 weeks. They're still entitled to their tub per month. It's just harder to get them back. So yeah, I find it working really well this year. The other thing that we used to do that we did a little bit differently this year was have a voting system on what books they would like to read for us to add to the collection or make recommendations, and that would be voted upon at the Christmas party. We found that some book clubs wouldn't have the grey nomads that were there out in force, and the books that they wanted to read were very different to the books that and we were getting a lot of negative feedback, even though we were trying our best to include them in the decision making and in the selection process. The feedback on the books that we were selecting was not good. So this year I, put out the call, what do you recommend? Didn't have a voting process though. If something was recommended 5 or 6 times, we've got 16 clubs, it's pretty good indication. But we made the selections ourselves, and this year it's been quite well received. But a lot of people are happy with the titles that we've selected for 2017. So yeah, they don't always know what they want, or they'll think, oh yes, I want to read that book without having read it, and then once they read it, they're like, oh, and I've just selected that for 16 clubs. You know, so they were making recommendations based on what they thought might be a good read, but it was for us, unfortunately. But aside from that, I think it's working pretty effectively this year, and we're quite happy. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have
a chat comment?
Good. Yes. Port Macquarie has trouble getting complete sets returned. I think a lot of us do. How long can the club keep the kit?
We have advertised that they're on loan for 6 weeks, but what will tend to happen is they'll hold on to the tub, pick up another tub and do a swap over at their meeting, and if they meet less regularly than once every 4 weeks, it might be 2 months that they'll have the tub. But we will get in touch with them and say, okay, we noticed you've still got your February tub on loan and it's now June, you need to return that before we'll let you take another one. So, yeah.
I think it'd be good to hear a bit more from Port Macquarie, so could you unmute them?
Port Macquarie, I will unmute you so that you can ask questions as soon as I find you.
Oh, they're Kate. They're Kate. They're fine. They're unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, so Leanne's the coordinator. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit more about your groups, please?
Yeah, well, it's interesting when you're talking about the preference. I brought up something I call a wish list. So when a new group forms, I ask them to go through, because there's over 160 titles, and to go through and pick, 2 titles each that they might like to read. And they compile that list and give it to me. And I work on that list. There's about 50 that each month I'll have a set waiting for them based on that list. So similar to the other speaker, it's no order. And I try and mix it up so they don't get similar ones one after another. Because we've got more than one branch, they're going out from 4 different branches, there's the logistics of making sure with transport they're there in time for the meeting, and they're coming from rural areas as well. So when they get there, if they've travelled half an hour to pick up a book club set and it's not there, it's not good. So by me doing it myself each month, I guarantee they're going to be a set there. And there's no fee to join the book club, but they are encouraged to donate a set within the first 12 months. A lot of our groups donate every year. They pick a title they'd like and they run it past me. So if the book's too big, because we have to think about transport and storage, if the book's too big, or if it's we've got too many similar ones, we sort of discuss it before they donate it. Yeah. How's that?
That sounds great. Is there anything else about your club that would be helpful for us, for other people who are looking to set one up?
I think the one thing that's hard is that every group's unique. Some of those groups come to us and they've been together for a great number of years and they're used to doing things a certain way. If I get a lot of interest, I'll set groups up. When I set them up, I have a little bit more power and I can put our rules down at the baseline. But when they're coming in, we want to encourage them, because we've got over 80 book clubs. We want to encourage them to use us and to donate. So we have to keep them on side to a certain amount, but I also have to balance that with the needs of the rest of the staff. So trying to keep the rules across the board and say, no, you can't bring 9 back, when it's the husband of the coordinator who's dropped them back and he's arguing with the person on the desk, well, what am I going to do with them? At least I've got 9 copies and I'm only chasing 1 as opposed to chasing 10, knowing someone's waiting for that set, it's on reserve. So trying to balance the needs with the needs of the staff is hard sometimes, yeah.
Well, I might tell you about the Riverina Regional Libraries book club, and if I can, I might even share screen so that you can see our website. In a sec. There we go. Can everyone see that?
No, they won't be able to. Go back to Blue Jeans and go down to share entire screen. Yep. Go screen 1. Yep.
There we go.
And then you can choose whatever you want to share on the screen, but beware, you will be sharing whatever is on the screen. So now you can go to your web page, and they should be seeing that. Yeah. So you see the little green bit up at the top.
Yes. Alrighty. So the Riverina Regional Library Book Club has been going for, this is our 10th year. Originally, I went to a Readers Advisory Seminar and came back saying, I really want to start a book club. And one of my colleagues said that running a book club in your library is an awful lot of work for very few people. And so she did a bit of research and came up with, based on other libraries' models, the one that we now use, which is very similar to Griffiths, which is basically a service for book clubs. So we're not running clubs in libraries so much as providing tubs with 10 copies of a title plus discussion notes. We have an audio book if it's available and a DVD as well. And like Griffith, people get 10 books across the year. And we are pretty strict about the rules. So we have a policy, there's registration forms and guidelines. We have 85 book clubs this year. We did get up to 90 last year. And it costs $400 for the club per year, so it works out to be roughly $40 per person. And we have never had a problem with people paying that. They've always been happy to pay that amount. In terms of choosing the books, when we first started, we actually had a lot more interest than we were expecting. So we went from trying to choose a broad range of genres and writers and writing styles. We went to whatever was available in 10 at Big W, because we had to kind of last minute get books to meet the demands for all the book clubs. But since then, we have, we just kind of research what a lot of book clubs across the world are using. We do take suggestions from the clubs themselves, so we don't guarantee to fill those suggestions. They often suggest things we already have, in fact, which is interesting. In terms of evaluation, we used to do more evaluation of the club than we do now. So we do send out a form at the end of the year to ask how it has gone. And we used to ask them to rate each book, which gave them an opportunity to rant, basically, about the titles. We didn't really use that, so we don't necessarily ask them to do that anymore.
What do you ask them in your evaluation?
So whether they found it value for money,
Okay.
whether they would recommend the service to other people, basically to rate the service. We ask them whether there are things that they would like us to change, what things they like, what things they don't like. We have an end of year celebration in different branches, because we have 18 branches. We do that in different places, and people get to talk about the books and chat with other clubs there. We did try to do some kind of online engagement, but we find that because the demographic tends to be older women, a lot of them are actually pretty anti-Facebook and other social media, so we don't have a lot of online engagement. We also find that they just tend to think that their social needs are being met within their one club, so they're not that keen to sort of go further with other clubs, except at maybe at the end of year celebration. It's open for adults largely, but we do have a version for youth if they want to join, which is basically the same but half strength. So we put on our book list, we say which books are particularly suggested for youth, but obviously they can read any title, and then they just get half the number of books over the year. And then in terms of junior book clubs, we've had over the years quite a lot of requests for junior primary school type book clubs, that we decided that the model that we have for our adult book club is really not suitable. So we actually just have on our website an awful lot of resources, so suggested book lists for all sorts of age groups and genres, tips for running a book club and that sort of thing. So we have support for junior book clubs. So if you want to check out all of our forms and things, you can look on our website. We also have, our book list has about 250 titles, I think. You can see that in a visual way as well as download it. The issues that we tend to have are things like damaged books. So last year we had an awful lot of damaged books come back during the year, and in the end we did things like email everybody and suggest that if they're going to return a book to somebody's letterbox or veranda, that they use a snap block bag, because a lot of people were returning very, very wet books and saying that it wasn't their fault, it was perfectly all right when they dropped it off. And then, we made it a policy rather than a guideline that if you return a damaged book, you have to pay $40. And so it has been a lot better this year, but it is coming into winter, so who knows, we may get...
It has been better. I think the book clubs are definitely aware that if they rip a book,
Yes, yeah. I mean, sometimes you look at them and you go, goodness me, did you shower while you were reading that book? Or not shower because it doesn't appear to be water, which is, an issue with all library things. But I think, I can show you our spreadsheet for how we allocate. It actually takes a staff member, almost, it's a full-time job to allocate book club tubs, because we have the 85 clubs and they're over lots of different branches, including the mobile library. it is a big job. We also take requests. So of the 250 titles, people say which ones they would like. And we tell them to give as many requests as we're far more likely to have one available. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. The different colours are for the different weeks. So we know when the club meets, therefore we allocate their kit to arrive in their library the week before. So we know what they've got, what's on hold for them, and when their next meeting is. And yeah, it's quite a detailed Excel spreadsheet for how to allocate the kits. But on the whole, they all really enjoy the service. They love the social aspect of it. They don't always love the books, but they enjoy talking about them. And yeah, it's been a really good service for us. Obviously, charging means that we can buy as many books as we need, and it means that we can have good end of year parties and that sort of thing. We've always got enough funds for what we need to do. It is a fully self-funded program at this stage. We did start with funding of $3,000, I think. Yeah. Sorry, I'll just check my chat. Oh, that's a great idea, to have an agreement with a local bookshop to get discounts for sets of 10. And a panel. Yeah, we are having in our 10-year anniversary celebrations, we're going to 4 different branches and we're going to watch a movie of one of the book club books and then have a sort of a panel type discussion about not just that movie and the book, but all the books and movies. Any questions?
And keep a record of what they have had. Do you just refer to their Libro lending history
Yes.
when doing the selection? So you
Yes.
have to refer to their borrowing history every time before you make a selection.
Well, we select according to what they've requested.
Yeah.
So we assume that they are requesting things they haven't already had.
Yeah.
But we do check anyway, because sometimes they do request things they've already had. But also Libero will alert us if that they have borrowed it before.
Yeah.
But not when you reserve it, irritatingly.
Yeah, you switch that function on because every time you go to issue the second, third, fourth, you're getting that alert. They've had this, they've had this. Did you find that?
Do you issue out the books separately?
Yeah, we do.
Oh no, we issue the whole kit.
So we can identify which one's missing. And we have at the back of the set a list of barcodes for them to use for their own. But they look at the barcode, Kate's got that one, Joe's got that one, and they keep a list. So they come back and they've only got the 11 books. They can go through, check off the barcodes they've got, and identify who's got the one that's missing.
We just keep
we just
a
have
list.
each person has a number for the whole year. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll have number 1, something like
Right.
that. And that's how we do it.
And the books are all numbered in the kit.
In the kit, yeah. So it's pretty, and the leader has to keep a record of who's got.
Yeah, that's a
But
good way.
it is like, it is really good.
And then it's
Yeah,
just one kit going in and out all the time and not.
Yeah.
So it saves the branch staff
Yeah.
wanting out individual copies.
Yeah, so what we tend to do is the week before the first is we've got our spreadsheet which is arranged a little differently where we've got the titles and then along the top the book clubs and we'll just go down, I haven't had that, we'll mark that off and then issue them and have them all sitting on a shelf waiting for it. Just they come to the desk and stuff, just pull it out of their pigeonhole and hand it straight over.
Majority of ours are individuals coming in.
Oh,
So they just come in as individuals and you know straight away you have that
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems to work for us.
I organised the type of books and then I sent it to the branch and they issued it separately, so I just do it for a week before.
Yeah.
I don't have 4 clubs, but
Yeah.
and I always, I just send the type and individually issue.
Yeah.
Often,
Focus stats.
at Kuta we keep a record of, we've got about 8 book clubs, and they'll come in and they'll go, oh my God, we've had the worst books this year, and so I love getting at the list and going,
Yes.
All your choices.
It's what
Yeah,
you
so
say,
it's
yeah.
what you wanted, yeah.
But we've got a comment section in the folders where they can give feedback. I'm reading back through.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a pretty common thread if they just did not like a book, it's pretty common.
It's a pretty common, yeah.
And you don't want to be issuing that, we'll just set that to the side and that'll be one of the ones we retire next year, so.
Everybody reads,
Consistently bad feedback though, yeah.
because everybody reads different things. We recently had some really bad feedback about Black Rock White City, which won the Miles Franklin last year, and which I found I enjoyed very much. And a club said how much they disliked it, and could they please not have any more books like that? In which, I wanted to email them and say, what, like award winners, like books by men, like.
I'm going to pop up and say it's appeal characteristics. If you win the Miles Franklin, you've got language as your primary doorway.
Yes.
So if you're a story character, a setting, you're probably feeling really fried.
Yes.
So what it probably means for reading groups is making sure that you're varying the appeal characteristics.
Yes.
Because I've given up reading Miles Franklin books. They're a waste of my time. Really, they're a waste of my time.
I'm so glad you said that because I tend not to fall in love with the award winners myself.
It's because their language, they're primarily language as a doorway, and so I don't read for language.
And that's what I was trying to say when I did get back to them, is you need to
be more
let us
specific.
know. And plus, I had asked for it, but also to say, you're not always going to know if you're going to like a book until you read it, and you still have a really good discussion in your group, even if you all hated it. You have a discussion about how much you disliked it. And unless they want us just to issue them books that they've already read and liked, then they're going to have to accept some risk.
But also, it's about, sometimes it's about how people read it. Some books you can't read in small chunks. You've actually got to chunk it up to start with because it's not going to work. You're not going to get the engagement point. And I don't care if you're just giving you 50 pages in, you've still got to read those 50 pages probably consecutively sometimes.
Yes.
Because some books are not appealing in small chunks. They are, whereas if you can read them in large, and some books are never appealing. But yes, it's getting it. But I would also say that for reading groups, you do actually want to make sure you've got a range of appeal characteristics through the year, because you could make someone feel completely cheesed off if they had 10 or 12 months of language as a doorway.
Yes. Yeah.
We just tended to find, particularly because we started the program with drought and that suicide and mental health and death was quite an issue. We had a number of clubs asking not to have books relating to death.
Completely understandable if you've got people dying, taking their lives, etc. So
yeah. So it can be hard though. Just don't always know.
And also you have to pick books that are going to promote discussion.
Yeah.
We
find that you've got to select something too that no one can read in a month. So we had like Book Hall because it was, all the rage. It's far too big. No one wanted to read it. The feedback was we didn't even try, so we tended to select smaller.
We usually keep it to about the 300 page. Anything over 300, it's got to be really good to get.
We have a 400 page limit, but next year we're actually going to go for some longer books, but say on them, if you don't want a longer book, specifically say you don't, and we do have page numbers on all of our books on the list, but we will actually highlight this as a longer book. There are some really, really good discussion-provoking books that are longer.
You're also ruling a lot of fantasy and science fiction out of necessity, and even some action and adventure that are long but pacey.
Yes.
And that's,
So we're just going to go for more annotation of the list,
and see what happens.
Provide more variety.
I know that's an interesting question. Do you think the expectation is high because there is a charge?
In some ways, yes. It is a service that people are paying for, but it's if you look at what else is available. So the CAE Book Club is a program that runs in a similar fashion from Melbourne, and it costs something along the lines of $111 per person per year. So it is a lot more expensive, and they get a very similar product certainly know better in terms of getting the books that they've chosen when they choose them. So there is some expectation, but I don't think that it means that people get cross with the service, you know,
As long as
because they
you're
pay for
upfront
it.
about what exactly they're going to get.
Yeah.
Paying, like we were very specific.
Mm.
You're welcome to indicate titles that you have a preference, and we'll consult these preferences when issuing you books. However, you're not guaranteed to receive a preferred title each month.
So whenever we have a newsletter as well for our book club leaders, so we can let them know things like we're getting a lot of damaged books, or if we are getting feedback about the titles, is to remind them, you know, about how it's a social thing as well, and that discussion can be great when not everybody loves a book, or that it's good to kind of stretch your boundaries a little bit with books. It's not necessarily always about reading the loveliest book, but also that even within a club, you'll get the full range of people's feelings about a title. Certainly in my book club, we do.
Is that comment there from Paul Macquarie, the circulation step point?
Okay.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons we issue
Oh,
12
I
books
see,
at a
yeah.
time. Circulation stats are much better than a target of
Mm.
12 books. 12 loads
Yeah.
instead of single loan.
Because it actually has a multiplier effect pretty quickly.
You can
Um,
also track directly.
Yeah.
They're issued it, so you know that has to come back and it's on their card, but it's not they have to pay.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Which one has not been returned? Yeah. Yeah, much easier to track
So
individuals.
each club member has to come into the library to pick up their book.
No, but it's a set that they collect, but we have issued each of the 12 books within the set to the club. So that if
So
they're
someone sits there.
Not to individual people.
You know,
No, no,
it's
to the
already just
club.
come as individuals and pick up their book for that month. That's how it
I have the
Okay.
cards and I issue them and I stick them on top of the book because I have four presents on. It does take me a bit of time, but I just do that and they come in and collect their
So they don't take the whole tub. and
Well,
just
as
send
some
it
of them, one
themselves.
group does, it just takes them and they run their group somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they always bring their tub back correctly and they don't have to worry. But I just issue it to the book club. But all those books. But the other one individually, I mark on which books
Okay.
each one gets. And they might be a bit late, so they'll bring it back to the library rather than bring it back to book club. So it gives them two options. But we are getting them back a lot better than before. We used to give them the whole tub and we'd never be able to check them down.
Yeah.
Yep.
It works.
We find to having a nominated
Yeah.
primary contact, that if someone's putting their name down as being responsible, there's that kind of, oh, I don't want to put her in the.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think they've got a responsibility to each other then to.
Yeah, we've got a question up here too that's from Port Macquarie. Do you want to clarify that question a little bit, Kate, please?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the feeling that people have got quite different amounts of staffing, with Riverina Regional having almost one person doing it. What percentage of people are doing it at Griffith?
So in terms of setup, it's 2 staff when it comes to selecting, cataloguing, covering, putting together the folders, which we do over December, January. That's a big job, takes a lot of time. But then once it's up and running and we've taken all the registration forms in, it's one person once a month. If you have a good run, you can do it within an hour. Sometimes if there are some clubs that need some following up on, it'll take a bit longer. Hour and a half, I would average it a month to finish, but in setup terms.
I think you've hit the nail on the head about the onus is on them. It's got to come back complete. That saves a lot of stuff, time.
Yeah, because we are spread quite thin. Yeah.
So our club leaders have to sign something to say that they are responsible for, and that, you know, if it's not returned complete, then they need to pay for a replacement. And we have to put in the policy that if they then find it, it's theirs.
It's theirs, yeah. In terms of putting together book clubs, we would have people throughout the year who come in and say, I would like to join a book club. Well, the clubs have already paid their subscription, they're less interested in taking someone on, and we found what we were doing was collecting people's names and then towards the end of the year making contact with them. It might be 6 months since they've come in to see us, and we're saying, hi, if you're still interested, we're going to have an information session, come along. And at one point that would really work. We'd form a new book club every year, and then I think it was 2 years ago I had one girl show up. So I was like, this isn't an effective way to make contact. So now on the form, they now nominate whether they are interested in taking anyone on new members and whether they give us permission to share their details. And we have like a little section on our website now, which is a book club notice board. So if an individual has contacted us and they're happy for us to share their details, we'll pop it up there, such and such looking for a club or club looking for someone. So we found it really difficult to be that mediary in trying to find a book club who would take someone on. They're quite established. So now we just refer them to the website.
Okay. So we've got the answer from Paul Crow that it's,
That Lee does it pretty much by herself.
Yep, okay. That's good to know.
Wagga City Library have a meeting in January that they call Strays and Waifs. So that's all people who want to join a book club but don't have 9 friends. They come to that, and then from that group, a new book club or 2 might be formed. But also existing clubs can come to that and recruit. So a lot of people move in and out of town and therefore out of the book club, so they can get more people. So obviously it's more expensive if you have fewer people. Does anybody online want to share anything about their club?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just more interested in, for those of you that reserve kits, how you go about doing it.
Do you mean if someone comes in and like they want a particular one? So
yeah, we don't reserve them at the moment, Amy. It's first in, best dressed. We've got a 6-week borrowing period, and I just wanted to have a look around and see if there was another model that I could maybe change it to.
We don't allow them to reserve because we don't know when clubs are going to actually return them, and because also once they've returned them, they've got to get back from that branch to us. We don't. We just take as many requests as possible, and then we choose on the day from what is there.
That's what we do too. And I just thought somebody might have had a brilliant idea, but I think it's not going to work.
There is a chat. Yeah, reserves are hard.
Good. I'll put that away.
Yeah, and I think as long as you're clear, so, whenever we get a chance to talk to club members, we let them know that we do our best to give them the kits that they want when they want them. But and that also encourages them to return them more quickly, because we say, the things that you're waiting for, well, someone might be waiting for what you've got. So if you can return that as quickly as possible after your meeting, it will get out more times during the year.
Yeah, we do that too. Yeah. And they're only allowed to have 2, and once they've got, that's it. And there's a few that are a bit tardy, and I probably have to put my group in there. So we're working with those at the moment.
The other thing that we really had to work on too was these clubs that meet less often. We were still issuing that 1 tub every month. They might have 2, 3 tubs sitting there, and that's preventing that from being circulated to other groups. Yeah. So we're like, if there is a tub that they have not yet collected, we will not issue them with another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also purchase a spare copy. So here at headquarters, we've got an 11th copy. So if one book comes damaged, we can insert that 11th copy in, and then it keeps the kit going.
Yeah.
Right.
And we used to say don't return kits that are incomplete, but now we say do, because we might have, like, it may be that there's only one down, and so therefore we can get it out. But they're not allowed to borrow more until obviously they've returned everything. from it. But it's my understanding that CAE is no better at getting you what you want when you want it. So I don't think there does exist a way, beyond having many multiples of every title, that there is a way of getting people what they want when they want it. Well, if there's no more book club discussion, we might move on to the next point on before we do that, I will just point out the wiki for book clubs. So I won't mess with sharing screens, but if you go to the Readers Advisory wiki, there is an enormous amount of information on book clubs, how you set them up, the different types of book clubs, and why they're good, and how they might suit your library, also how you choose books, how you promote them, all those sorts of things. So there's lots of stuff on the wiki regarding book clubs. Alrighty. So the next thing on the agenda is, how are people using RA generally in their library? Does anybody have anything to show and tell?
So no one's using Reader's Advisory in their library?
Oh, we are. I just don't have a photo for you. We've got it up on our display board every month. We do a display around the themes, but I haven't got the photos. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to move us off so we can see Helen a bit more. That's what I wanted to do.
Does anybody here want to talk about RA things they're doing in their library?
We have back home, we have these sitting at the returns counter. So
now, maybe do you mind walking up and holding it in front of the camera so the other folk can see that?
And you see? Can you see those? Yes. So chicks pick, fab fiction, blokes pick, and we leave them at the returns desk, and as the public return their books, they can pick one out, slip it in the book, and then we can just put it on the picture.
Do you want me to bring this one out?
Yeah, if people don't mind going up and showing the video, I know it's a bit weird, but I'll take photographs of them through
At Cootamundra, we just have staff pick, and we blue tack that to the front of the book, and that's quite a popular. I think I'd like a patrons pick one as well. Yeah, so I like
patrons pick, which is a bookmark. And
okay.
10 little areas that people just write in. Thought it's great, or whatever they thought about it, just a comment, up to 10 comments. So we just started, it seems to be working quite well. Then we have pick of the week on Instagram associated with that same stuff.
Can I say I've been enjoying the Berrigan Instagram feed, and
just writing that down. Follow Berrigan on Instagram.
Well, but people are doing interesting stuff. Now, I'm pretty sure they're not here at present, but Clarence Regional Libraries just started using their Instagram a lot for readers' advisory suggestions. Yeah, and yeah, with photographs of book covers and displays in their library with some provocative wording to encourage various reading. So, and some of it's quite genre-based. So it'd be interesting to see how that's working for them, but I just noticed that coming through their Instagram stream recently. We've got a chat. I will now add a link to that.
Yep, journalists, and who else writes like? Oh yeah, that's cool. This month I will try, e.g. scary books. We've been trying for the last year form-based readers advisory. So on our website, people can fill in a form, kind of lets us know what types of books they usually read. They can tell us some books that they've loved, some books that they really didn't like, and why. They tell us what it is that they're wanting to read, what they'd like to read next, lots of appeal characteristics, and then Cynthia and I put together a document. It's got, the photos of the covers and a little bit of an explanation about the book and why we chose it, why we suggest it based on what information they've given us. And we email it directly to the people. So it's been going for a year. We've done actually there's one in my inbox now. So once we've done that, I think about 64 or something across the year. So it isn't hugely onerous. We tend to just get requests when we have promoted it on Facebook or something, or put it in the e-newsletter. But yeah, it is a good way to kind of do the readers advisory interview online, and they can just send it and we give them a whole bunch of suggestions. The other thing that we've been doing at the Riverina is staff reviews. So it is admittedly mostly me and Cynthia at the moment, but
Come on, we did one the other day.
yes, no, it is, all the branch staff are encouraged to do it, and sometimes I will put it on a meeting agenda so that we all do it. And so we put those on Facebook and also on a blog. So you can, on the blog, you can search by category, suspense or neuromance or lots and lots of different categories, and we put our reviews up there and on Facebook for people. And you often do get, people tagging each other in it, because the customers will say, I think so-and-so will like that book, or and that the reserves, will come on those books. So who receives an e-newsletter? Yeah, it is a Libero-generated list, Libero being our library management system. Although you can also, obviously you can opt out, and I think on some of our ebook, like through Belinda and stuff, you can also say you want to go on the e-newsletter.
We have a small gallery as part of our library, so we try and tie the two together. At the moment, we've got a belonging exhibition, which is quite diverse. You think outside the box, that sort of thing. One of the other displays we do, we always try and keep it locked. So it's more like, I can't remember the author or the title that had a blue colour. Or men who can't find their shirts. With a clothing malfunction, so it's nice and light, and everyone laughs, but it still lets you have a nice range of books. Yeah.
It would be nice if people could send some of the photographs of these displays in, and they could go on the reference group Flickr account so that other people could see them, and that goes for online too. Just as a helpful way to share information, as often the pictures can work. I'm a little bit reluctant to say email them to me, but I kind of can't think of another option at present. So please email them to me and I'll put them up on Flickr. They do go up on Flickr with a Creative Commons attribution license, just so that you're aware, but you do get creditors that came from this library.
Is anybody else doing any RA things they would like to share?
How are people evaluating some of their readers' advisory things? Like, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of a display? Okay, so how do you track that?
Sorry?
So how does that get recorded somewhere?
No, I don't. No. So, but you just observe, like we did it depends where it's located too. We find if it's located right in the front of the entrance on the pyramid, if we put the travel books there and have a travel display, goes well. If you put the travel books like on that square bookshelf, which they just walk past on the way to the fiction and it's not as prominent, they just walk straight past it. So I think location's got a lot to do with it.
But it does vary. We have a permanent display mystery thrillers, and that looks like hot cakes, and it's out of the way. But just everyone knows it's permanently stopped, and they just walk there, grab them, and walk straight to the self-checkout.
Yeah.
Well, there was a recent survey of Australian readers, and I think mystery and crime was the number one genre. So a thing like that, you almost don't need to.
Yeah, but it's still, we
right.
found some people too many options.
Yes.
There's too many options.
We have a table of recent returns. So our fiction, we put all our recent returns there, and we find some people will just go there, browse what other people have been reading,
Yeah.
where they make their selections. Also means there's less for us to shelve. So they go and they pick their stuff from that table.
Win-win.
And then a lot of people that's the end place they'll go, or at least the first place they'll go, or they start browsing the
I
shelves.
often put the end days, the displays on the end days, I sort of do a challenge with myself to see how many of those actually go out in a day, because I'm the only one there, I know whether they're gone.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I do self-assessment on that.
We like
See
that.
how good I am with trying to get it.
At Kuta, we've got like the best thing is just near the front. When you walk in, we've got a massive section. On one side, we've got all brand new adult fiction. On the other side, it's non-fiction. And a lot of people only borrow, and we fill that up the whole day long. So you can see it's right in front of you. You can see that is our best. That's our best use, I think, for the library. Yeah.
And when you're just doing theme displays maybe, or genre displays, it might not be so necessary, like you're not justifying that work to anybody. But if you were to do, say, a big staff picks thing, and you were recataloguing stuff or putting a lot of work into getting different staff members to choose things and then restock them, that's when I think evaluation really becomes important, because if you're putting a lot of work into something, you may need to justify the worth of it. So I think Melanie at some stage she actually had them catalogued somehow, things that she put in a display.
I think it was a location.
Yeah.
I think they had a display location, and I know others have done that too, because the display location is one of the faster fields to change. So you're just altering their location for that, so you're tracking. They also had a location at the library that's been now amalgamated, and it was around staff picks, so that you just had to check that location, pull them off the shelves without actually having to, because they've been pre-selected.
So that way you can then run a report on, how effective your staff picks are, or something like that.
It'd be fairly easy to differ because it come up with the borrowing.
Yeah, so it's kind of just thinking about, okay, you don't have to evaluate everything, but sometimes it is actually handy having some evaluation around some of these things, because it might be that you've done a pop-up library out and about, and you've had a really strong focus on tying your reader's advisory with the location of the pop-up. So you went to a market, local food market, and you really thought carefully about your themed stuff, so you actually want to prove that going to there made a difference, because what people could borrow on the site, or what they tracked back afterwards, or the membership, the people that joined in came and did stuff. So, yeah.
When we send out the form-based RAs, what will I read next? We do ask for them to send feedback, which occasionally they do straight away and go, oh yeah, they look the goods, or something like that. I actually haven't had anybody read them, and then I think, so I have considered, because I have everybody's email address, of course, sending a very quick survey just to see, did you enjoy any of the books that we suggested? But I haven't done it as yet.
But maybe the success is that they look at the titles and they feel promising. Like maybe that's the success. They asked you, gave feedback. That's one level. And yes, getting feedback after the read would be exciting, but maybe part of it is you actually responded, you've given them some options to consider.
We have had one person come back again. So they must have at least found something readable in the first group to give it another go. But yeah, I think evaluation is something we need to be thinking about, especially when we're putting a lot of effort in. Has anybody had anything that hasn't worked all that well that they've had to reconsider?
We stopped book chats. We were doing a talk once a month on a different genre, you know, we've laid the table out with all representations of the, our biggest turnout was fantasy with 6 people. And eventually it was too much work for too little. And I mean, we advertised it everywhere online, on our whiteboard.
What time of day did you
It
do
was
it?
10:30 in the morning.
It's always tricky picking a time of day.
We tried it for different times because as I was to go together, but we tried in the afternoon, we tried different days, but it seems to be the same thing. It's just
One of the things that I would like to start doing is incorporating it into other events. So, what's Becky's last name?
Spratford.
Becky Spratford does lots of training. I've watched some of the videos of her talks just on doing book talks, and they're really short. So rather than doing a whole genre, it's just picking a couple of books, and at any event, just almost as part of the housekeeping, highlighting 3 books. You don't even have to have read them, she says. You just have to get a kind of, obviously you have to read the blurb, have a flick through, do you?
You're watching a movie and they're like,
It is. You're giving people a great awareness of what the library can do.
You just give them a little bit of a taster, and it's adding RA to all your other things. So if you've got people coming in for a craft thing, or even you could do it, while kids are doing craft at story time, you could talk to adults or.
At story time, I often give the parenting books. I'll get them all and put them in a big trolley, and I'll give them a big plug called story time, and I'll stick them up where pitch books sit.
Yeah.
Because parents don't go down to the parenting.
No.
They just don't realise how many good resources there are. They just stick to the kids area.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I mean, sometimes it's not that successful, but the parents are then aware, well, the library does have all these good parenting books, DVDs, magazines.
if they don't borrow, they
Yeah, they
come
know.
back to
Yeah,
us, so
yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
Justin's wet.
Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ashfield Library, for some of their author talks, they do a brief readers advisory group as part of the introduction, because I'm pretty sure I've heard Therese or Renee talk about it, that it is part of when they have authors visiting, they do a little bit of a spruik, and sometimes it's about the resources, and sometimes it's about, did you know we have novelists, that kind of thing. Others, it's around other materials, but they are actually deliberately trying to add value to their author talks so that people who mightn't have known about the library stuff but came because they wanted to hear X, Y, or Z actually get some information that will send them towards the library. Now, it doesn't have to be onerous, and I think it's also short and punchy, and
just a hook. Like, you don't have to, if you're giving a book talk, you don't have to give a whole synopsis of what the book's about. You just, you can even tie it into films and things.
That One Book, One Community sounds really interesting. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about how you've done that there? Because we'll be hearing about Wagga Wagga later today, so it'd be nice to hear about Port Macquarie's. Do you want to unmute and just talk to us?
Yeah, that'd be easy. The first one we did Peter Temple Iron Rose. So they were just the cheap copies, and they went out in the community and they were left like up near the beach or in a park or all sorts of funny places, and it had our library logo on it. So I think they were out in the community for about 2 months, and then we had a panel discussion about the book, similar to our Second Tuesday book club that we do once a year, and that was really good. It was really popular. And then the second year we tied it in with Alzheimer's, and we did Still Alice, and we had a panel discussion for that too, and we had a representative from Alzheimer's Australia. I think we had about 60 people, maybe 50 people, and that was good because we tied it in with a community thing as well, so we had support from them. But what we are finding at the moment, picking a book is very difficult because we're putting a book out there that we want to engage discussion but not be insensitive. Yeah, it can get hard to pick a title, and also a title that's not too expensive when you're buying 200 of them too.
So how do you work out where you're going to put those books? They're not catalogued or anything. They just go out.
Well, I would copy in all the sets, and then they got a flyer promoting the event of the panel discussion, so they all got one. We just had them at the front desk, just sitting there. People could take them, and they had flyers in them as bookmarks. And then they were just left in funny places all over Port Macquarie.
And we'd take a photograph and Facebook the location some of the time. So if it was at a random park bench near the river, or different cafes, at the airport and at the bus stations, and
the information centre, the Glass House, where we have concerts and things like that. Just funny places.
And we had 2 book club sets.
We had 2 book club sets, so we were trying to get them, because the book clubs are a captive audience. There's potentially 800 people you can grab. Unfortunately, they don't all turn up. It'd be great if they did, but that's another way of getting out to the community. So, yeah.
And who do you have on your panel?
I get different people. Some of the people are in book clubs. We usually have a staff member. We change that around. And there's a couple of regulars I really like to use because they're great at getting the audience participation. But I try and mix it up. We had the deputy mayor. She was there for the Alzheimer's week. Was personal as well. It's different people. That one actually I had to facilitate that because they pulled out the last minute, which was a bit scary. But we get the when our local ABC radio presenter or one of our journalists from the Port Macquarie newspaper, we just try and use different people from the community.
Is anybody else doing a one book, one community type thing? Like Tamworth do?
Mm-hmm.
Do they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, that's Central Northern that does it.
Oh, yes.
So it's across the region.
Yeah.
For them, it's one book, one region. Yeah,
Yeah.
But it does sound like the one book, one community in Port Macquarie's worked well for the 2 that you've run.
2 we ran well, but whether we could keep that momentum going, we're not sure, because it was a one-off, something new. There's a lot of our work goes in the book club. We had an idea that we were great. They're different. The audience would be different, but what we want a book club might be to promote as opposed to the library in the broader community.
Picking a book that a whole community is going to want to read, that's a big call.
Oh, that's 70,000 in the community.
Totally messes with your mind.
Yeah. It means I get to read a lot of books.
I know in Toronto, actually Vancouver did it. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. For a couple of years, they were deliberately choosing ones that also had young adult appeal, because they figured that would get a wider cross section of their community. They were using Canadian writers, but they were deliberately getting a young adult appeal as a I don't want to say easier reading, but also to get teenagers involved. It's not going to be a perfect solution because I think the Still Alice one would have had some really great connections through the Alzheimer's, but I don't know, maybe it's something to consider, which then just gives you even more reading to do. It's not narrow the field.
That would be good, but that would also mean the one community and the Second Tuesday Book Club would be very different, because the Second Tuesday Book Club, most of our book club people are 40 plus, whereas the one community would be a wider demographic, so we would do 2 separate books.
Yeah. But that's actually really good then that you're able to use this to connect with different demographics in your community.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, agreed.
And who knows, you could use some of your portable makerspace things with whatever book you have next, that people could be artistically or technologically inspired from their reading and create things.
We'll get Brendan on board then.
Yeah, we'll get our techie onto that.
I know this now. It came out of iArt Libraries, and I'd have to look up the link, but I won't do it now. They're running a series. They've got some online resources for book clubs where you meet, you read and discuss, but then you make things together, and what you make is inspired by what you're reading. I'll put the link in the minutes when I look it up. But I thought that's another way of connecting. But hey, you could have fun with virtual reality and 3D printing and reading groups too.
We could, yeah.
I know it's easy to link reading groups with food. Like there are lots of clubs that cook specific things to match their book.
That's what I was when we read A Long Way Home, we all made Indian food. We do that every single time. We've got a lot of good pressure, a lot of good cooks. I'm not one of them. Yeah, we do. It's fun. Yeah.
When we did the help, my friend Christy made a chocolate pie, but without the special ingredient. But we were all still a bit dubious.
Yeah.
That's true.
We tend to find most of the groups meet at a restaurant.
Yes, yeah.
Not at people's homes. I think there's only one that we know of that take turns.
Well, that means someone else gets to do the cooking.
Yeah.
I know my mother used to have one, and it was a huge pressure because one person would host it, and they would just absolutely go to town on the lunch, and so it was a real. That can put
away.
that would put people
up.
off.
The library, so that's
Yeah, we have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tend to meet of an evening.
Yeah, we have meeting rooms that they just use it at night.
That sounds nice, doesn't it? Just borrow the key and use it at night.
Well, Tullamore Library, they've got quite a few people who are registered to have the key and use it at any time, except
There's a small library.
Tullamore.
It's like a 24-hour gym.
No, you've actually got a physical key. Yeah, it's keys.
Amazing.
Yeah.
24-hour library.
It's working really well in Tullamore.
As a hobby, and they just have to get back and shoot when they
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
it's like.
Yeah, I think that's,
yeah.
I don't really have access to the main library.
Yeah, same.
yeah.
Oh, actually,
But still, it's good. I think, yeah. I think it's like you need as much security as you need.
That's right.
And in your communities, if you give someone the key and they shove it through the return chute, go for it, frankly.
It's better than some things that can be shoved through the return chute.
That's right.
Okay, so.
Right, any other RA things to share?
Absolutely take the culinary pressure off.
It does. It also is like if some of the clubs in some of our branches have been made up of people who didn't know each other before. So if you are bringing together a group of people who have actually never met, not meeting in people's houses feels kind of
Less threatening.
Yeah, less threatening, it's more neutral.
And often they can
Safer.
start off in the library, I've found, and they end up at people's houses. So initially they're getting used to each other, and then they'll go to people's houses after a few months or a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good.
Because there are clubs that have been meeting for 20 plus years, and certainly some of the ones that started in Wagga were people who didn't know each other before right at the beginning, and they're still going 10 years down the track. Kind of shows how much people value their book clubs.
I don't forget the first book club that I put together, and they were all looking at each other sideways, and they're just like, I don't know if I want to hang out with these people. And they've been one of our most successful clubs. They come on everything. They're wonderful. But no one wanted to be the person to organise it. No one it worked out really well.
Yeah, getting started can sometimes just be the thing. All right, well, if we don't have, we don't have any other readers advisory things, but going to people who are new to the area, It is great to try different places. It's kind of good for the local economy if you meet in cafes. At least they're going out once a month. So we might look at the next item, which is read, watch, play on social media. Are you following and are you sharing? So I might get the website up.
I feel a bit awkward suggesting that maybe people want to get snacks while they're talking because then the people online can't get the snacks while they're talking. But feel free to get snacks while people are talking. This is the awkward bit. Yes. Oh, good. Yes. Okay. So yes, don't pull your cards back. Yes. So if you need a cup of tea or something, yes. Just shows sometimes you actually got to talk about these things so people feel comfortable.
Alrighty, so who is using the Read, Watch, Play social media stuff in their library? So this is the Read, Watch, Play blog. This is the page on the social media. So there's the Instagram, Facebook. Plus monthly there is a Twitter chat on whatever the theme is. Oh, chat message. It's hard to look at all the things. It is. New to this person.
Okay, well that's good.
That's good. Okay, so if you look at go to the readwatchplay.wordpress.com, you will find all of the social media links there. Yeah, the link will be on the wiki as well. And in the minutes. So originally it started as a Twitter reading group. So there are monthly themes for each year that we encourage libraries to use in whatever way they would like to use it, whether they do physical displays, whether they do online themed posts, and then encourage everyone to get together at the end of the month to chat on Twitter about the things that they have read in that theme. Now, not everybody is into Twitter, so you don't have to do that element of it to be involved. You can actually use the resources any way that you like. So obviously it would be great if you do have Twitter to follow the Read, Watch, Play account, and then each month the chat will have 2 hashtags. One will be hashtag Read, Watch, Play chat, and the other one will be whatever the theme is. So if I have a look at the monthly themes for a sec, these are the ones for this year, and so they start with a hashtag. But you can still use them as they are even if you are not tweeting them and therefore not using all the technological aspects of a hashtag. And you can kind of go with that theme in whatever way that you want to. So each blog post, I'll just click on Play Read, kind of just discusses ways you can look at Play Read. So there are, of course, lots of things, you can just read plays, that's a very direct one, but it can also be very much about games, because Read, Watch and Play is about not just reading, but also watching and games. So you can see here, because this was May, it talked about Star Wars Day, talked about maybe getting into cosplay, the Hunger Games. Oh yeah, Ready Player One, that's an awesome play read, being gaming related. So you can use them in any way that you like. You can do it completely non-technological and just go for as an idea for what displays to use. You can just use it for your themed displays in your library, or there's all sorts of other ways you can do. You can do events that are linked with it, and of course you can encourage people to follow along on social media. So does anybody have any ways that their library has been using it that they might like to share? Here so I can see if there's any chat. This is very hard to see. Maybe I should stop sharing.
So we're also talking about in library examples or social media examples?
Probably in library examples too.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, last month I was in Goulburn Library and they had a very nice play read display in their library, which I put on the Public Library Services Instagram account. And it was a display that had card games, books with playing in them. It was actually a very nice display. And I noticed through the Twitter stream that also some of the Surrey libraries that are involved. So maybe if you go to play, just go to the hashtag playread.
On Twitter?
Yeah, because I noticed, yeah, and you just go back a few days on the playread ones, that some of the Surrey libraries had done some nice looking displays around it. And that was just because they'd put the hashtag on and taken photographs of it, but they were actual physical book displays in their libraries. I don't need to log in, you can just do a search.
Trying to go into the search.
Search is over to the left.
Oh, yeah.
I know, they keep changing the screens around. I think you might have to click on the, yeah, and just do, yeah, play with it.
Read what's my chat?
I just want one will be fine, and then you'll just have to scroll, go, Maybe go to latest, but then you'll have to go back a little bit because it won't actually be the latest. They did the displays a couple of days before the discussion. But broadly, you can argue in anything you can argue in. Actually, I think it's really cute that Guildford Library highlighted that there was a Guildford edition of Monopoly as part of their play read discussion. We don't all get to have special monopolies. So it is actually fun having the Surrey libraries involved as well. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's the Haslemere Library. I'm hoping that's the correct pronunciation. With their play read discussion, and they got in a plug for an online database as well, which I thought was quite, you know, like that's always like points.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought it was impressive. Yeah, and so a few of the brands, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, Farnham Library and yes, so so there's two in that one. Yeah, so using it as library displays and basically, and this is an area where people kind of go, but it's too hard to think of themes. If you think it fits under the theme, it fits under the theme. No one's going to correct you on it.
And that's why we choose kind of broad.
Yeah.
It can be broad or specific.
Yeah, because like this month's epic read, and it could be it's epic, as in, you know, Greek epics, those kinds of things. Or it could just be, I don't know, almost anything you want to argue. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a long reading thing.
Go to this one.
So what is under epic reads? Actually, yeah. So yeah, there are a few epic ones like Wheel of Time, Sopranos, Wizard of Oz. Sorry?
Change around.
There's a lot of investments of time there. But yeah, but I think even epic read you could argue some short stuff into it, as long as you could argue some short stuff into it. It's up to you to kind of make the case. And as no one's going to be judging you, your epic reads could be a series of haiku poems that are epic because you have to think about them for a long time. Short poems, but long thinking.
So it's just a theme that you can kind of attach to anything. I mean, there were years where I tried to get Jane Eyre into every single one to sort of argue it in.
And see, I usually try and get cooking. Actually, I usually try for Jamie Oliver and Matthew Riley. I'll be more specific. And it's amazing how well they fit. Someone managed to get Doctor Who under all of them too.
Yeah, there was the year we did that as well.
So it's basically pick something frivolous, not that Jane Eyre is frivolous.
Oh, yes, thank you for clarifying there. That was
But
good.
pick whatever you want and see how you can argue it fitting in. And to give an example what that looks like. So, sorry, back to the themes. So with Jane Austen, with first read, Jane had her first reading experiences as part of the book. It's a little bit of an underscore on diverse read, but there are different kinds of families in it. So there is that diversity, and so on and so on. Look, the Twitter is, it varies would be the statement. I think Facebook posts give a higher engagement probably for individual libraries. Twitter, it's more about the conversation between libraries and other participants. But I actually think you could run it really well through Facebook, and doing the posts for your community. So
If that's where your community
yeah,
is.
yeah. And really, you could probably do some really funky videos based on some of the videos you've done in the past. So that will be sidling up to Brendan probably. I don't know. If you haven't seen some of Port Macquarie's videos through Facebook, go and have a look at them. Because they have a nice quirkiness to them that actually gets a high level of community engagement. Yeah, so it's a varied one, but that's why it's around, really, it's a bunch of themes that libraries can use however they work. And if having it as your in-library display, and from what they said to me in Goulburn Library, they do that every month. They have the displays every month because it means they don't have to think about themes. They've got stuff that can go with it that they didn't have to develop. That works really well. I think Ashfield also has a regular display, because I know we had a readers advisory meeting, it must have been when Flight Read was on, and they had a whole lot of things vaguely to do with flight. And that's the thing, it's often vaguely to do with whatever, because they can be flights of fantasy, they can be aircraft books, they can be, I don't know, books on birds.
I still think, and non-fiction, it's just a really good way to get a lot of stuff.
And different formats like your DVDs, and you can probably fit a database in quite a few months too. So it's really a way of promoting a range of library resources with what you've got in your library, not, oh my goodness, we've all got to have the one book or DVD, which doesn't work across the state. So, yeah.
So, yeah, this is the blog. You can find all the monthly themes and the ones from past years as well. And it will tell you when the chats are on, the Twitter chats, if you want to join in on those as well.
But also, if you just want to promote them to your community and not join in yourself as a library, that can also be something. And realistically, you're using tools like Hootsuite to schedule either posts on Facebook or Twitter, means you can set them up for the rest of the year in not too much time and then kind of ignore them. And then, yeah, just kind of throw them out into the wilderness.
See. Alrighty. So, if that is all people got to share about RA, then we might finish this recorded session and see some people after lunch at what time? At 2.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be doing a facilitated session before then, but we'll hopefully see some of you back at 2 o'clock.
Okay. Oops. Got one more. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Yeah, you can just leave.